Honest to goodness Squadron Hawk. Wild. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and I'm going to cash in one of my Dealer's Choice donation deck lists from Alan today to play something that looks kinda sweet. So thanks Alan, I appreciate your support. This was a deck that I believe went 6-3 in a Legacy challenge. I saw this in one of Joe Dyer's articles today and knew that I had to play it. We're all very familiar with the Guide of Souls Ocelot Pride nonsense by now, but this deck is going deeper than normal on a couple of different levels. So number one, we have Emeria's Call. This actually will be important to the deck. It goes under Chrome Monks, but we're going to loop back to this because we're also playing Windbrisk Heights, a hideaway land. And if we attack with 3 or more creatures this turn, we can play the card that we have hidden under this card, which Emeria's Call can be a card for Chrome Mox and also Windbrisk Heights at the same time, while also technically being a card that you could theoretically cast, although it might be pretty darn hard for this deck to get up to enough mana sources to actually have 7 mana. This deck is attempting to go really hard in the early game, with Chancellor of the Annex buying you potentially a turn versus combo or control to kind of get all of your various creature-based nonsense to get up. And it is taking a bit of a taxation angle between Esper Sentinel, Thalia, and the Chancellor. Squadron Hawk might seem a little funny at first, but this deck is playing 3 copies of Enduring Innocence, a card that I am familiar with from Commander, so that you can draw a bunch of cards. So if you have an Enduring Innocence in play, you play Squadron Hawk, you draw a card, you get 3 more Squadron Hawks to hand, which if you play them 1 turn at a time, each one of them can then draw you an additional card, turning a Squadron Hawk into a draw 4, which is honestly kind of neat. Sideboarding here is a lot of the things that you might expect from a mono white deck, although notably no Deafening Silence here, which is a card that I might have expected from a deck that looks like this one. I suppose with your Chrome Mox and such, it occasionally could be a problem. That seems like something I might want to add to the deck, but let's let it ride. Let's play it as is. And folks, if you need your squawks or your Enduring Innocences, please consider getting them from my sponsor, TOAmagic.com. And when you do, use my promo code ThrabenU so that you save a little bit on your order. That being said, let's battle. All right. Opening hand has 2 copies of Chancellor of the Annex, but only has 1 land. I think that is not going to cut it. Second hand is light on land as well, which is often going to be a thing in this deck. Do I want to keep a sketchy 6-card hand, or do I want to go to 5? Ocelot Pride into Ocelot Pride can get out of control with Voice of Victory if I hit. Counting Chrome Mox, how many hits am I actually looking at here? I have 1 of these in hand, so I'm looking at 21 hits in 2 draws. Odds are a little sketchy. I'm gonna very, very reluctantly keep this. I am worried about going to 5 and just not having enough gas to close out the game. So I think I'm in a situation where I either have bad mana or potentially play like 2 cards and bottom out. Okay. My opponent stepped away from the computer for a minute. We're both down a little bit of clock. I don't expect that to matter too much if my opponent is leading on a Lotus Petal. Alright. Doomsday. We are on average probably dead to a Doomsday. I don't think I'll get a Thalia down before they kill me. More generally, this is probably not a matchup that I want to be playing. Oh, am I going to die right now? It's impressive if I actually factually die on turn 1. Okay, no. I will pretend to play Magic the Gathering here. So opponent's not going to fetch. They have probably a very particular order of cards here in terms of how exactly they want to play this out. So they have now built a pile that can play Thassa's Oracle uncounterably on turn 2, which seems pretty sweet. And they do this with 0 cards in library after cycling Edge of Autumn. GG. We don't have to do much damage this game to convert it into a win, but we did not get time. I will play White Orchid Phantom to potentially mess with my opponent's mana. Don't really have too many other relevant things here. I'm going to cut Enduring Innocence from the deck as something that is just too slow to matter here. I could end up playing some kind of sad-looking cards like these. I forgot to look at my opponent's exile pile. Look, I'm gonna be real with you folks. While my opponent was building their Doomsday pile, I learned that Diablo 2 is dropping a new class for its like 30th anniversary, and that currently has part of my attention. So my bad there. Although honestly, like given how little I can change things here, don't know that knowing much more does anything for me. Like, I can try to snipe a Thassa's Oracle with something like this. I can try to snipe a Lotus Petal that's played out with something like this. Neither feels great. I don't need the value over time of Squadron Hawk here. Like, this messes with some LED lines, but is not overly impressive as a whole. Maybe I do it anyway. Round out the deck with this. This is a land that enters tapped, which is particularly bad for me here when I want to go fast. I still get Thalia on turn 2. Not curving with Esper Sentinel is awkward. I Wasteland, then I don't play Thalia. Okay. This is fine. I just don't Chrome Mox here, I think. It is certainly not overly exciting. The hope is Wasteland you and play Ajani and do some energy nonsense that pressures life total quickly. It's a different sort of game than the previous hand. That doesn't fetch... Yeah. Okay, cool. So I can Wasteland. Is there a timeline where I am supposed to keep Chrome Mox over Windbrisk Heights? Or the situations where I do Wasteland on turn 2? Or am I always supposed to keep Windbrisk Heights because I will attack with 3 creatures? It's fine, the top card of my library will be Ocelot Pride, and I don't need to think about it at all. See, it's Ocelot Pride. He looks a little different today. Alright, Wasteland Underground Sea. I mean, the land's still gone. I'll take it. 18. 4 copies of Windbrisk Heights is kind of crazy. We'll see how I feel about this card by the end of the league. Right now, I wish it was just an untapped basic plains, but it has some pretty high potential to do wild stuff. Thalia is cool. Untapped land is awkward here. Yeah, I think... Okay, I probably do just take the big thing still. I will get it not next turn, but the following turn. And I guess that's if I am willing to not play Thalia. Yeah, I fully think I messed up on not keeping a Chrome Mox. Oh, wow. Spoils. Opponent did not have to reveal very many. They want Dark Ritual. Understood. So, my opponent will now Doomsday. Alright, I might be dead now. There's a Brainstorm. LED. Cycle the Edge of Autumn for blue. Consider. Now my opponent can Thassa's Oracle. And a Swords to Plowshares would not do things there. GG. Maybe I can keep the awkward first hand that plays Thalia. I have some agency there. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. If you're looking to store your decks online, you're not going to find a better website. It's super organized and easy to use, and I sort everything that I do into a ton of format-specific folders, and you can customize the way that you use Moxfield to your liking. Whether you like text views or visual views of multiple different natures, Moxfield has it all. And it's so easy to use, you might even say that it's a snap. Okay, mana does not work with this hand. Mana does work with this hand. All right, I gotta plot things out carefully. So reveal Chancellor, Plains, Chrome Mox, Chancellor, probably play Thalia on 1. On turn 2, I can play Ajani and Windbrisk Heights, and then trigger it on the attack on turn 3, which I think means that I get rid of the Squawks. All right, reveal Chancellor. Chrome Mox, imprint Chancellor, throw down Thalia. And we know that whatever I cast is going to resolve in the short term. And my opponent's Volcanic Island probably not doing a ton right now. Okay. Everybody calm down. What do I want of these? Probably the Voice of Victory versus the known counterspell deck. Make a cat and its cat friend. Yeah, maybe the trick here is just mulligan more aggressively. Like, hands that look like this have the potential to be very, very, very silly. All right, there's another Volcanic Island. All right, go to Punchies. Attack. Opponent to 16. Okay, so they are just going to Brainstorm and let it get countered by the Chancellor attacks. This is kind of cool. So now I know that my Voice of Victory is going to resolve. So let's do that. Do Voice of Victory. It resolves because of the Thalia thing. Then I do another Windbrisk Heights. Absolutely fucking silly. Put a Chancellor under there. Wall. Holy shit. Like, this is wild. What was that? Legally Distinct Lightning Bolt. Blue. Storm Chaser's Talent. Absolutely, you've got it. Due to Voice of Victory. Okay. Cool. Alan, I would just like to thank you again for supporting me with the Dealer's Choice donation deck list. Opponent at 6. Windbrisk Heights. I know the thing resolves due to Voice of Victory. There's a fucking Chancellor in play on turn 4. Yeah. Now, admittedly, the card this time would have been one of these 4, so it would not have been crazy good. But even there, I can take a Swords or an Ajani and transform into the Planeswalker, and I have the red things. Fucking wild. Absolutely wild. So Sanctifier in Vec seems reasonable here to help shrink Murktides and keep DRCs from getting big. And I can consider playing some number of these cards. These can get rid of Storm Chaser's talents themselves, I suppose, or Quarry Steelcutters if we run into them. What is not good? Is Chancellor of the Annex good? I don't know that it is at its best here. It's a big hit for Windbrisk Heights. I don't know if we should expect it to go that smoothly every time. I think I'm going to turn those into a couple more removal spells and a couple of other creatures. I could Leonin Relic Warder. I don't know that I want anything else here. Okay. I've got a few lands. I'm going to keep this. I suspect that a lot of times I just need to keep hands that have respectable mana. I think that's just going to be a bar that I have to pass. I can do Guide of Souls into Voice of Victory, or I can get the ETB tapped land out of the way now. I think I'm going to give my opponent the chance to counter Guide of Souls. I would potentially rather have my Voice of Victory or March of Otherworldly Light resolve. And I don't know that I get to play around days here. Volcanic Island comes back down. Yeah, we gotta get some of these things off of the board here for sure before they get big. Days is a thing that exists. I think we're marching. Exiling 1 Squawk, paying 1 mana. Get rid of that creature. It is Force of Will. Unfortunate. Days and Force backing up 2 3/3s would be just horrendously bad for me. Ooh, that is an enchantment to graveyard, which is horrifying. I'm going to get one of these out of the way. Given the way this game is going, I'm going to put Swords to Plowshares under there. Notably, the wording of this card is if you attacked with 3 or more creatures, Voice of Victory generates some things that are attacking, and there is a distinction there. I think I am probably in another Days Be Damned spot. Is that true? Maybe it's not true. If I wasteland this volcanic island, I can play around Days. But then if I Windbrisk Heights, I'm not getting Voice of Victory or Squadron Hawk into play immediately. Maybe I wasteland anyway, because a Murktide Regent getting into play is disastrous on its own. So wasteland that. Sure. And then draw step. I will swords one of these. Like so. Alright, cool. Opponent does have another land, and unfortunately, it looks like they have something to do with it. That is Storm Chaser's Talent. Miraculously, this thing is still a 1/1, despite like 9 cards in graveyard over there. So that's lucky on my end, but I'm doing an ETB tapped land now. Alright, Hideaway. Oh yeah. Here's a cat. Alright, cat's in play. Opponent has 1 card. This could honestly be so much worse. Dismember? That's real good. Alright, I am taking 3 here. It is still not a 3/3 flyer. I think this is Voice of Victory. Alright, in play. That can make my March uncounterable next turn. There's a land drop. Oh, don't be Murktide. I specifically tried to play around that earlier, and this doesn't kill a Murktide. Ooh. Like, I just want this to be a fucking Path to Exile right now. So I guess we're squawking. I say yes, I get 2 squawks. Not to the point where March pitching both squawks kills Murktide. The next turn I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and potentially send whatever other card or mana source I draw into Murktide Regent to get rid of it. Oh. Hate that. This is also a sorcery. I think I'm saying no to this. I'm going to exile a squawk, say done, do that into that, and counter the Boomerang basics at the cost of 2 of my cards. This still turns into a 3/3 flyer. I can chump block for a turn or 2 and maybe try to work towards Emeria's call. I think I end up dying to Otters just as easily as I do to Murktide Regents. So I play a squawk, and unfortunately the second time around, it's a lot worse. I think I just hold back so the Otter can't attack. I Windbrisk Heights. Yeah. I think that likely means that my opponent gets this one. I chump here, take 3, then need something that addresses the Murktide Regent, which this is not. Come up a little short there. GG. I can try to not take out the Boomerang basics and then use like what was going to be like 3 cards to get rid of Murktide Regent. But then my opponent has another Otter, another card. And I think the 3/3 flyer eats me alive as well. I don't know how I feel about March of Otherworldly Light here. It's kind of clunky. I don't know that I want more of them. I also don't know if this card is crazy good. Like, it may just be that Leon Relic Order for Storm Chaser's Talent is better than it. This is just taking out like Lightning Bolts and DRCs. I don't know, maybe that's enough. Like, maybe that is just something that potentially keeps my opponent from getting the 3rd type for DRC. This is a double Chrome Mox hand. This is going to feel like a 5-card hand. Oh, that's awkward. Believe? I do not now know how I am supposed to mulligan with this deck. I know Athalia goes under there. And then I think I keep 3 threats here, starting on Thalia. If there's no Force of Will, you know what? Never mind. That is just how it goes. Blooded Strand. Guide of Souls is fine. Definitely makes the remainder of this awkward. I think I'm just going to play that when I draw my 3rd mana source. Make my cat. There's an argument to play Sanctifier Invec there, so that Lightning Bolt doesn't get to just take out Ajani immediately. And if my opponent has Lightning Bolt, they don't get to use that mana in this turn cycle. We've got a Brainstorm on my opponent's turn. And Polluted Delta can fetch. And it is a Lightning Bolt. Okay, cool. So there's Guide of Souls. And I am just going to slam this immediately. I don't think I can give up the tempo to play around days. All right, it is Force of Will instead. Send in with a cat. I am set up pretty poorly here. Windbrisk Heights would not have 3 creatures to trigger it. It'll take me a few turns to do anything cool with Guide of Souls, and it looks like my opponent is just slamming a turn 3 Murktide Regent. I think I have just been outclassed by Force of Will here. Being down 2 cards for double Chrome Mox is so incredibly awkward. All Esper Sentinel. My opponent's down to 1 card, but it's 1 card with a 3-turn clock. Yeah. So the good news here is that if I top deck an Answer to Murktide Regent, I'm in good shape. The bad news is that Murktide Regent kills me in 2 more hits, and a couple of my removal spells don't actually kill Murktide Regent. Send in for 3. 7. Wasteland does not do anything here. Eat 7, going to 6 life. Yeah, I just died to the turn 3 Murktide Regent. My opponent will be at 4, but I will be at 0. GG. My opening hand is definitely a keep here. There's some awkwardness with 2 copies of Caracas. I believe we are playing exactly 2 copies of Caracas, so that shouldn't happen all that often. But I have Guide of Souls into Ocelot Pride and Wasteland, and then I have Squadron Hawk. If I use Wasteland, it becomes harder to keep deploying Squadron Hawk after Squadron Hawk after Squadron Hawk. But you can't have it all, right? We have Once Upon a Time for a Verdant Catacombs. We are probably in the, like, Cradle Control Maverick style ballpark then. Basic Forest means Wasteland is off the table, and I have to decide whether or not I want to Swords this Ignoble Hierarch. Given that draw, I will. Because that draw means that I can Swords this, send in for my Love Tap with Guide of Souls, dropping my opponent to 18, and then I can start the Kitty Cat Parade. Let's just yield to that. And we make cats and get energy. Next turn, I can maybe Squadron Hawk and Wasteland, which is pretty cool. Squadron Hawk will be the 3rd. Ooh, a Dryad Arbor even for my trouble. How kind. I should keep my opponent off of mana. Like, I absolutely would like to keep doing what I'm doing with this Windbrisk Heights, but this feels too good to pass up. So we're squawking. Draw 1, 2, 3 burbs. Go to Punchies. Punchies. Say yes. I'll put the counters on Ocelot Pride. Getting a good chunk of damage in here. And then making some more cats at end of turn. Gaining more energy in turn. This is sweet. The upside for what this deck is capable of doing when everything goes right is very high. But we've had some clunkers in terms of opening hands here. GG's. Let's assume that Containment Priest is good against some sort of Green Sun deck. Let's assume White Orchid Phantom is reasonable versus Gaia's Cradle. Sanctifier Invec has text. It is not embarrassing. March of Otherworldly Light has text. I think I want Thalia out here. I'm not expecting Thalia to do a lot. Esper Sentinel similarly is not going to be crazy good, but might be good enough to keep in. What's my approach via Chancellor here? I think Chancellor slowing my opponent down might matter. Let's go Esper Sentinel out, March in, and I can maybe 1-for-1 my opponent in the early game and hope that Enduring Innocence starts doing stuff in the late game. I could go for more mana. I don't think this is a mulligan, but I could go for more mana. Like, this hand having white and not is a big deal. So what is going under Chrome Mox? I'm always casting this. I think I put an Ocelot Pride under there. No, I'm going to put White Orchid Phantom under there. That's just fully not castable right now. I think I am going to put Voice of Victory in play in hopes of being able to generate red creature tokens to when I eventually transform this. Verdant comes down. Snuff Out is so strong. That's a great tempo play. Seems good. All right, well, we can make some cats. And I'll pass the turn here. White of the Reliquary specifically is the sort of card that Sanctifier in Vec is good against. Any of the sort of big hitters like White, White of the Reliquary, Fiend Artisan style cards, it shines against. Badger Mole Cub targets Wasteland, Wasteland my Wasteland, and then their Wasteland comes back. That's sick. At least attacking with the White of the Reliquary is slightly awkward as of right now. My opponent potentially doesn't want to give me the Planeswalker. All sorts of awkward trying to use this as a removal spell. I'm not attacking. Let's play this. And we just kind of see what happens here. I think my opponent gets to get their engine online and going. I don't know, maybe Safekeeper and Talon Gates of Madara off White of the Reliquary just mean that boarding in the extra removal is not as good as I thought it was. We will evaluate if we go to another game. Re-evaluate, rather. Thanks, I hate it. What does this get rid of? Artifact, creature, enchantment. Alright, not Grist. I think I have largely stalled out here. I don't think I'm quite willing to concede, but I think my opponent is very favored. A Corrupt Decay on my mana source. I'm willing to concede to that. I don't think it's worth playing from there. I really just need another mana source to unlock my entire hand. Marches were not ideal there. They'll be a little better when I'm on the play. I'm kind of torn between wanting Chancellor to slow down my opponent and wanting Sanctifier Invec as something that can potentially wall or punch through my opponent's block creatures. I think I'm going to believe in the Chancellor. Double Chancellor? Yes. So reveal both of those at the beginning of the game. There is some discussion about which spell I play on turn 1. So yeah. I think I'm just going to play the one that attacks for the greatest amount of damage immediately and try to take advantage of my opponent stumbling. Sometimes my opponent can just play Once Upon a Time, yeet that into my cards, and life becomes awkward as they just play the game without the, turn loss. Okay. They are losing a Mana Dork, and I would not mind drawing a 1-drop to play alongside Ocelot Pride or a land. That's not the land I wanted, but I'll take it. If the land is untapped, I get to play Enduring Innocence and then set up a draw engine, which feels like a big deal. Let's see what we find under this. We did hit big. We'll take Emeria's Call and play an Ocelot Pride. So I have my 3 creatures to attempt to attack and play Emeria's Call next turn. Feels like a big deal. And that'll be my opponent's turn. Hopefully no Snuff Out to kill one of my creatures. Combat. Nice. Send them. Opponent's taking it. Going to 13. I will now Windbrisk Heights or Emeria's Call. I suppose if we end up with the City's Blessing, we could potentially copy those angels, which is a sweet interaction. All right. End of turn. Ocelot Pride to trigger 9 permanents. So close. Hopefully we don't just get punked by Natural Order next turn. That's a very real thing that could happen. Oh, is this indestructible until your next turn? Yeah, until your next turn. That's a long time. This is 4 mana. Hey, that's Atraxa. Finding a Snuff Out as well. Rough. Alright, Green Sun, Badgermole Cub, Wasteland, Snuff Out. Snuff Out online now. Holy shit. What a draw. That's Caracas. That's the City's Blessing. Caracas Atraxa back to hand. This more than makes up for Caracas being legendary the previous time we had 2 of them. My opponent fully dead here through Snuff Out. They snuff out an angel token. They still take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Caracas way better of a draw there than something like Swords to Plowshares. Alright, well, opponent got their Natural Order and I got my Caracas in turn. We both had very good breaks. Alright, Caracas back to hand. Everybody is coming to party. Yeah, my opponent is fully just dead there. GG's. We are on the scoreboard now. All right, opening hand here looks pretty solid. We have Guide of Souls into Ocelot Pride with Windbrisk Heights, and then do some Voice of Victory stuff afterwards. Or potentially play Voice of Victory on turn 2 off of Emeria's call if we see some counter magic. Okay, my opponent has kept on 7 cards. We will start doing the energy thing. Basic Mountain Actual Factual Goblin Guide. Got it. We have revealed Enduring Innocence, which is a card with lifelink, by the way. 18. Having Ocelot Pride and Guide of Souls together is kind of cool. Versus a burn deck. I think I'm going to get this going immediately. Yield to that. And then I think I'm going to do this one still. This has the option to pay life later. Ooh, love this. Punchies for 1. Brought my opponent to 19, and then I will pick up another cat for another point of life. This is great. I am not currently interested in chump blocking with a cat token. Bolt Wave. And then Skewer the Critics on the Guide of Souls. Sure. So I have either 2 or 3 mana to work with this turn. Enduring Innocence is really sweet to set up with Ocelot Pride. I think this is worth 3 life. Like, it is a life linker itself. It should recoup that life and draw me a bunch of cards. I think I'm okay with this. I think I could play any of the cards in my hand other than Squadron Hawk that turn, and they would all be reasonable, though. Lava Spike my face. Skewer the Critics, Enduring Innocence. That comes back, but it does mean that I don't get to put my Chancellor into play. I think I'm going to start here. Draw my card. Another Windbrisk Heights. That seems fine. Ocelot Pride. Voice of Victory. Call it a turn there. Next turn I can attack with a bunch of creatures, triggering Enduring Innocence, and then hopefully starting to gain some life with Ocelot Pride. I want to find another Guide of Souls or Enduring Innocence with lifelink. Oh, Roiling Vortex. That's annoying against my Windbrisk Heights. Okay. Noted. What a wild pull. I don't think it's worth 5 life to put a Chancellor into play, unfortunately. Let's play an Esper Sentinel to draw a card and decide what we're doing. Oh, hell yeah. Oh, no! Oh, wait, my opponent doesn't have the thingy available exactly right now, so they can't play the red into this. So I can go ahead and squawk, gain my life, say yes, draw 1, 2, and 3. Okay, go to combat. You send in, I will make you fly. So Guide of Souls, trigger on bottom, mobilize, gain the life, pay the energy, counters on the cat for lifelink. That was a devastating swing. I am very happy that my opponent did not have a single more mana for Roiling Vortex purposes. All right. So now, Ocelot Pride, I certainly have the City's Blessing, which means that I get to double up on the warrior tokens as well, which is cool. Roiling Vortex deals a damage to my opponent. I am at 19 life on turn 5 versus burn with what I presume is a lethal attack if I turn everything sideways. This was a neat game, despite how short it was. GG's. I have a pro-red creature I can play. I have a creature that can get enchantments like Roiling Vortex out of the way or Eidolon, and these are worth considering. Most of my cards are reasonable here. I think I want Chancellor. Slowing my opponent down is a big deal. Hitting that off Windbrisk Heights is a big deal in the endgame. Esper Sentinel is very efficient. Ajani is awkward for my opponents. Enduring Innocence is fine. Squadron Hawk feels like the weakest thing here. In terms of attacking speed, it is very slow, even if it triggers Enduring Innocence multiple times. I think I'm not going to play March. At 2 mana to remove a 1-drop, it's slow, and if I'm going down on squawks, it becomes a little more costly to remove cards. This leaves me with swords and static prison to remove things. And a bunch of the creatures get walled by, like, Thalia, Sanctifier, Trade with Relic Warder, walled by Voice. Hopefully this is fine. If I see a bunch of aggressive creatures, like if I see both Monastery, Swift Spear, and whatever the 1-mana red Ronin is, like maybe we talk about doing the removal spell. I would like to draw a white mana source if beggars can be choosers, but I get to slow my opponent down here, and I have Ocelot, Pride, Guide of Souls. I think it's fine. Opponent has floated a red mana and not done anything with it. They changed their mind about casting a spell, I suppose. Alright, there is a Chrome Mox. I will imprint a Chancellor. I will drop Wasteland into play and play a Guide of Souls. And I think on average next turn I get Ocelot, Pride, Guide of Souls going. That is a Chain Lightning, which is going to be countered by the Chancellor, and there's 2 of them. Alright, cool. So here's Ocelot Pride. We get this nonsense going. The Wasteland not being a mana source for deploying another creature here is a little annoying, but the hand was otherwise quite strong. Roiling Vortex. I will take 1. An opponent says I can't gain life. 21. I don't know which way to play this. One way or another, I am paying the life for this. I think I do 2 creatures here. So Guide of Souls up. Ocelot Pride up. I think I go to combat, send in with everybody, and put counters on the Guide of Souls itself so that it stays outside of range of Lightning Bolt. Opponent to 18. Now, we don't get Ocelot Pride Cats because I did not gain life. But my opponent now takes 1 from their Roiling Vortex, and if they don't keep open a red to make me not be able to gain life, these cats go absolutely wild. And I have an Esper Sentinel tax going on as well. Pretty good situation for me. I think I have seen more burn on Magic Online in the last calendar week than I have in the previous year before it. People are trying this deck again. The Hexing Squelcher dream is real. Hey, it's Hexing Squelcher. Alright, there is Monastery Swift Spear. Understood. I will take 1 from this. My opponent will make it so that I can't gain life. 17. I can make this land drop safely. I can Relic Warder out, Roiling Vortex. Yes. I'll go to combat. I will send in with my flyer, hitting my opponent down to 10. So Bolt Wave. My opponent is letting me draw a card. So that card represents 2 life gain from Guide of Souls on its own. Notably, I also have the City's Blessing already, so I'm just super good to chump block with the cat token or whatever and not take any points of damage. I don't think I need to risk any sort of double block blowout situation. Alright, goodbye cat. Opponent is now free to play other non-creature spells around the Esper Sentinel tax. Fire Blast on Relic Warder. Okay, that occurs. Opponent's making it so that I can't gain life this turn. Then just passing with a mana open for Roiling Vortex. Sure. Swords to Plowshares. I can remove something if I feel like I need to. I'm not sure that I feel like I need to. I will leave the option to do so. I still gain the energy here. So send this. Yes to this trigger. Counters on Ocelot Pride. Hit my opponent for 6 and have lethal in the air next turn while holding up Wasteland myself to decrease the power of Price of Progress. 3. I also potentially have Lions where I Swords to Plowshares my own creature to gain a little life. We have gotten the GGs in chat. I believe that is now going to bring us to 2-2. Let's see if we can come out ahead in the league with this kind of crazy build of mono white energy. GG. Alright, opening hand is okay here. The ETB tapped land is a little weird. I think I am probably playing Esper Sentinel on turn 1 in an attempt to find an extra card. that lets me play Voice of Victory on turn 2 while still making a turn 1 play. I could just Windbrisk Heights on turn 1 and not play anything on turn 1. But I think the upside of this going the way that I want it to is pretty high. Alright, resolves. So we need to figure out whether my opponent is on fair or unfair blue. A lot of show and tell floating around in the metagame right now. There's a lot of various like Dimir or aggro decks. More accurately, Dimir tempo decks. Alright, this is going to be on the more controlling side of things. So I miss the land drop that I otherwise would have... Well, I don't miss the land drop, but I don't get to do the cool, crazy things here. I will put in a Chancellor under there for sure. Throw down an Ocelot Pride. Bowmaster pretty primed to take my lunch money playing this deck. I have some good long-term prospects, but if my opponent, starts sneaking in Kaitos or whatever, things could get bad quickly. I don't have a removal spell for something like a Barrogoyf. Thundertrap Trainer. Is that a miss? That is a miss on Thundertrap Trainer. Cool. I would like my spells to be uncounterable. And now, I think I just pay a life here. Well, alright, not a life. But I think I go ahead and just get this going. And next turn it might be worth yeeting a creature in combat to put a Chancellor into play. Opponent up to 4 mana. Flame of Honor, targeting Voice of Victory, opponent paying the extra, and passing the turn. So I can attack in, potentially losing Ocelot Pride and Esper Sentinel. I think I just wait. So here's Guide of Souls. Here's a new Voice of Victory, which will trigger Guide of Souls, assuming it resolves. It does not, but I'll get to draw a card off of Esper Sentinel. Alia's an okay pickup. Here's Windbrisk Heights. Hide away another Chancellor. And I'll pass the turn there. Next turn's going to be sweet. 2 Chancellors, potentially. Alright, opponent is passing the turn. I think I just attempt to go to combat. So there's Bowmasters. Killing Esper Sentinel. I will accept that. Oh. That is Flame of Honor. Sure. That keeps me from attacking with my cats. Second main phase. There's Thalia and Ajani. Next turn, I'll try again. Another Bowmasters, which is actually surprisingly annoying. There's a very big difference between a 2/2 and a 1/1 on this board. Ponder. Scalding Tarn afterwards. Another Thundertrap Trainer. Finding Sheoldred's Edict. Okay. So I can send 3 cats to their deaths to play double Chancellor. I think that is probably worth it. Yeah, I think I just go ahead and let this stuff go. Opponent fetches. There's a Chancellor. That's annoying. I was supposed to activate this again in response to the fetch land. That's a very big punt on my end. It's a very, very big punt on my end. Okay. So now I'm going to let this resolve. I'm not going to play the other one, though. I think I want to now keep an Ocelot Pride alive. I think I now swords a token, let 1 Ocelot Pride die, make a token at end of turn. This keeps a body around that I can sacrifice to Sheoldred's Edict instead of losing a Chancellor to it. I had every opportunity to play around that Fatal Push, though. I was just kind of thinking about using the swords on the Baleful Strix that currently is in play. It's Kaito. Alright. Opponent is playing more creatures than I am. Unfortunate. Yeah, I think I just messed up this game. Let's see if I can get myself out of it somehow. Send everyone at Kaito. See what my opponent wants to do about that. Fine with this trade. This can all happen. I guess in terms of order of operations, I do this. Get the other Chancellor into play. And I think Swords gets pointed at Baleful Strix over Tamiyo. My opponent's Tamiyo currently can't safely attack into Chancellor anyway. Alright. Shoulder's Edict is live. I will sacrifice the stunned one. Opponent's got something else. Oh, it's the Baleful Strix. Ugh, Mystic Sanctuary rebuying that Shoulder's Edict is rough. They have the extra mana to pay for the Strix. And their Edict eats my Chancellor. Kaito pluses. I guess if I draw exactly Squadron Hawk, I want to have 4 mana available. Romox, rough. So I attack Kaito here. Opponent keeps Tamiyo. Or rather, loses Tamiyo to keep Kaito. And then I think I've bottomed out. My opponent's deck has so much value. They also just have so many creatures that blocked. Like, multiple Thundertrap Trainers, Bowmasters, and Baleful Strix. Just mean it's kind of hard for me to get in for damage. I think my opponent wins this one handily from here. Oh, they're not even going to kill my creature. That's how bad of a spot I'm in. Well, I can go to combat and attempt to kill Kaito and maybe get Bowmaster instead. Do get Bowmaster instead. Drop Guide of Souls. Feels like I'm... yeah. So Sheldred's Edict takes out my creature. I'm honestly happy that I got Kaito Stun and Sheldred's Edict out of that. Like, that's better than I think that goes on average. Another Tamiyo here is problematic. Kaito and Tamiyo and a couple of chump blockers on the ground just kind of leave me in a bad spot. Top there. Another Flame of Honor flipping Tamiyo. Alright, no, we can move on from there. My opponent's got it. GG's. My positioning could have been slightly better there regarding that one fetch and fatal push. I think my opponent's deck is very, very well suited to beat my deck, though. Sanctifier in Vec is an okay thing to pick up. Not interested in any of this stuff. These are mildly interesting. My opponent is, like, better than I would like at dealing with Chancellor between Kaitos and Edicts. Flame of Honor kill it? I don't think so, right? No, 5/6. I'm going to get rid of Static Prison. I think I need to kill my opponent's permanents permanently. Too many of them have ETB triggers for my liking. That gets me 1 Sanctifier in Vac. I think I'm just going to trim 1 Thalia for the second one. I don't hate March of Otherworldly Light. I have so many X1 creatures that might incentivize me to board some of them out to play more copies of March of Otherworldly Light, but that just doesn't line up well versus my opponent's stuff. I like what I see here. I'm interested in getting this into play ASAP, which I can do on turn 2. I think I'm going to Chrome Mox, put a Hawk here, Ocelot Pride, and get my ETB tapped land out of the way. Enduring Innocence? I'll get Enduring Innocence under that. We'll see if my opponent kills my cat on sight or whether I get the initial token out of it. Would be super cool to get the initial token out of it because it'll end up triggering Enduring Innocence if it resolves. So let's try to make that happen. Opponent fetches. Alright, it's just a Surveil. Ooh, Engine Online, baby. Ocelot Pride makes a cat, Enduring Innocence draws a card. Thalia is a great pickup. We're kind of past the days where, like, Thalia Caracas just beats a control deck. But I don't hate my positioning. I'm going to tax my opponent's mana here. Oh, this is not a May. Incredibly awkward. Incredibly awkward. Fuck. I had just kind of assumed that this was a May. It's not. Alright. No. I don't want to play Magic anymore. Alright. So my Enduring Innocence gets nuked. It's going to return to the battlefield. I will draw a card. My opponent gets 2 Bowmaster triggers. Which now go at Ajani. I create a token. This is now a new permanent since it went to the graveyard. And that means it triggers again. Letting my opponent kill both of my fucking cats. Then I will play a Sanctifier in Vex so I don't die to this fucking Orc Army token. This is awful. This is a train wreck. I think this singular interaction fully takes me off of Enduring Innocence as something that is reasonable to do in Legacy. Sheldred's Edict. Take 9. Shit. Any X1 creature that I play just fully dies. Like, I can play a Johnny and try to do some bouncing nonsense, but I think I'm just dead. I'm gonna call it here. Bowmasters beats the ever-loving pants off of our deck. I guess I needed to board Enduring Innocence out and play a couple more March of Otherworldly Lights in its spot. GG. Alright, let's wrap this one up. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Reasonable, but I don't know that I'm excited about it. It is very aggressive. I don't know that I'm excited about this endgame package and the March of Otherworldly Lights that are kind of synergistic with the Squadron Hawks. I wonder if you can just do more aggressive things and not be cute with it. Going into another color is rough if you are trying to do Windbrisk Heights stuff. You could Esper Sentinel, Voice of Victory, filling 2 of those slots. I don't know if the mana supports you doing something like Amped Raptor that just helps you go faster. I don't know if the mana base, including this card and Emeria's Call, can even support another color. The answer is that it probably can't. You could main deck Thalia. I don't know that I'm overly excited about that. This deck doesn't have the most blink targets. I don't know that you want more static prisons. I would be interested in exploring other alternatives to Squadron Hawk and Enduring Innocence. That much I know. I am not sure what they are supposed to be without dipping into another color. With another color, it's so easy, like Amp Rasters, Bowmasters, Goblin, Bombardment. Like, there's very clear things that could go into it. But trying to make Windbrisk Heights work is difficult. The Chancellor can give you time to set up versus a combo deck. The Chrome Mox can make you go faster. It may just be that the deck, even still, needs a couple more untapped mana sources. Let me know down in the comments below if you have any thoughts about what else could be in the main deck. I'm not sure if we're supposed to promote something like this into the main deck. It's not exciting to me to play white cards when Wasteland is a major part of our mana base. Alright, with that, I'm going to go ahead and call it a day, folks. I hope you enjoyed. Have a great rest of the day. See ya!